What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Real Short Talk with Ryan. As always, thanks for being with me today. We're going to be answering the question today: who should be engaged in evangelism? The answer might surprise you. Matthew chapter 5, Jesus is giving what is known as the Sermon on the Mount. So he's delivering a sermon to this wide group of people. So he's got the disciples and the crowds. He's primarily talking to his disciples, but he wants the crowds to overhear, as he's calling his disciples to a different way of living, a different standard, but he also wants to hear the crowds to hear what that standard is. So he's talking to his disciples, and in Matthew chapter 5, verse 13, he says, "You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet." So he says to his disciples, hey, you are salt of the earth. And that's kind of a weird thing, right? Normally people don't call other people salt, but what he's saying is, hey, you were to have an impact on the world. You were to affect some change. Just like I put salt on meat for some change to happen, if I put you, my disciples, this is Jesus talking, right? If Jesus is to put his disciples in the world, there's to be some change that is to happen. He keeps going, and he says, you are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all the house. Right? So this makes sense to us. If you light a lamp because you need light in your house, you don't say, oh, I'll cover it with a basket and that'll be better. No, you want to put that light up high so that it can shine over, so that you can see things, so that it impact change, right? So that the darkness is driven back. In the same way, let your light shine before others. So he's telling his disciples, hey, you are the lamp in the same way, right? Just like I don't want you to be hidden now that you're my light. I've put you in the world to impact change, to drive out the darkness. In the same way, let your light shine before others. Let other people see you. Let other people see that something is different about you, so they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven, right? So he's telling his disciples, hey, you are to be responsible for evangelism. Hey, you are to go about and show your good works, do the things, live out the standard of living that he's calling them to live for a very specific reason. Not so people could see them and be like, oh, y'all are so cool, but so that people could see the Father, people could see God and give glory to him. So how does this impact our question? Who is responsible for evangelism? What it tells us is that we are all responsible for evangelism if we are followers of Christ. If you are a Christian, you are responsible for evangelism. And sometimes that can be scary, but it doesn't have to be, right? Because who has sent us? Jesus has sent us out in the world. He is the one that has set up this lamp of us to shine out to the world. I'm not doing it to draw attention to ourselves, but to point people to the Father, right? So we're going to be talking in the weeks to come about how we can do evangelism, and the when and the where and the why even of evangelism. I want you to see from the very beginning, we talked about what evangelism is last week, but who is to be responsible for evangelism? You are. You are to take ownership of this. This is to be your responsibility if you are a follower of Christ. So that means what we talked about last week, what we're going to be talking about in the weeks to come, they apply to you if you are a follower of Christ. Hey, thanks for joining me for Real Short Talks with Ryan today. We'll see you back next week. Until then, glorify his name.